How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. We're going to start the sanding process. I got everything marked up already. Right here, top of the beds, and then this section right here by the tail light. My dad tried to put the canopy on it, or taking it off by himself, and dropped it, and it fucked the paint up right there. But we're gonna do this little section right here. Paint's peeling. We'll do it right here. And there's a big old chip taken out right here by the fuel cap. So then this side, top of the bed. And so we're gonna hit it with some 40 grit. Some 40 grit. Then we'll hit it with some 80 grit. And then we'll do a little bit of body filler. And then hit it with some 400. And spray some primer over it, and then we'll hit it with 1,000 grit, smooth it out. So we'll get her going. With some 80 grit. Alright, so this is what she looks like now. All smooth. I'll do a little bit more on that later, but I'm gonna do this part right here next, and then get to the bed and stuff. But that part looks good for now. I hit it with the 40 and the 80 grit. Then once we get the rest, like this side done, we'll go ahead and hit it with some body filler, fill in just a little bit. It's gonna be a very thin coat, but then once we do that, we'll hit it with some 400 grit, and then hit it with some primer. Then after we primer it, we'll hit it with 1,000 grit, just to kind of smooth it out a little bit more. But go to this spot next. Alright guys, so it's about 8 o'clock at night. It's starting to get dark, but we got the top of the bed primered on the passenger side. Got that part. We got this little piece right here and this part of the cab done. I'm just gonna go over it one more time with a very fine grit sandpaper. I mean, I got 1,000 grit right here, but I might even go a little bit more than that. Just so that way it's like, I want it to be like smooth. So probably go to the store tomorrow and get maybe like, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 grit. And then show you guys this tomorrow. We didn't even touch the driver's side, but it's still taped up and whatnot, so we'll get to that tomorrow. Alright guys, so yesterday we got the passenger side done. Got the cab, that little patch on the bed, and then the top of the bed rail. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the driver's side, so we'll get going on that. so here's what we got so far. We got top of the bed. I'm gonna hit the top a little bit more later, just so that way it's, I don't know, I'm gonna just sand all of it instead of just spots. It's like sand all the paint right here. But got this spot sanded down and smooth. We're gonna go to this spot next. I think this spot had it the worst, but passenger side is done. I gotta go over it with some 1000 grit sandpaper still, but I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this side first before I do anything else on that side. So we'll get that going. guys. So we got all this done. It's nice and smooth. Got this part. I'll fill that in next week. But got the top of the bed done. It's all nice and smooth. So now the only thing I have to do now is finish masking off, and then go over it with some primer. And then she'll be ready to go. Alright, so we're gonna start priming. We're using this stuff. This is the stuff I've been using, but we're gonna just get it going. Alright, so it's been a little bit. Time for a second coat. Alright, so while this is drying, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna do one more coat, and then I will catch you guys after, and then finish up with this video. But looks a lot better down here, right there, and whatnot. But I'll have to go back over it, sand it, but I'll do that next video. This video is getting pretty long, so I'll finish doing another coat, and then I'll catch you guys after. Alright guys, so we got last coat of primer on. Looks way better. Got all down there. That part right here, this little chip, I'm gonna fill in, do next week. We got all of this, all of the driver's side and the passenger side done. So that'll be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next video.